And welcome everybody back to the Reviewing All Comers episode 4 podcast, where we get extreme. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is our first coverage on the OG Extreme Championship Wrestling, baby, Paul Heyman's brainchild, where today we are reviewing Anarchy Rulz 1999. And this took place 9/19/1999. How's that for a bunch of nines? So
What a date.
What a day.
Yeah. And it was from the Odeum Expo Center out in Villa Park near Chicago, Illinois. And
Yes.
boy, did we have a crowd or what, gentlemen? Let me be so gracious to introduce my guests here. I'm starting to turn into Cyrus the Virus here, aren't I?
Yeah. just a little bit.
They were waiting. They're like, "Where's our cue?" So, as always,
Joey
I got my co-host here, Jared Weathers.
Hello.
Jared, say hey. And also today we have a very special guest. We have a man who wanted to be on our show, and we graciously accepted, and we're glad to have him on here because I've had discussions with this man before about anything and everything really wrestling related, and I always get something out of what he and I talk about, and that would be Mr. Jake Kemp.
Yes.
Or actually, sorry, I just read his name thing. Jake Howe.
Kayfabe, brother. Kayfabe, brother.
Kayfabe, brother. Come on. Kayfabe.
Kayfabe.
Kayfabe,
He is Jake
brother.
Howe. Kayfabe.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Howell and Mr. Weathers, how are we both today?
You go first, Jared.
All right. Okay. I'm doing all
first.
right. I just to kind of talk about the show a little bit. I absolutely love ECW. It's one of the better promotions of the 90s. There are some that are fucking awful.
Yep.
Some that only ran one show. But this is, even though production wasn't high, not everyone was getting paid except for the owner. Kind of, sometimes.
Sort of.
So very little. It's still. I mean, the wrestling in ring, the stories are some of it's better than the WWF did. Some of it's better than the WCW did.
Oh, no shit.
It's better than some things they're doing right now. I mean, it's insane to go back. Have the little clips of Raven. Just sorry to jump ahead a little bit. The clips of Raven and the story between him and Tommy Dreamer, and like that story still holds up as probably one of the best stories in wrestling of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Jake, how are you?
I'm doing fine. It was a treat to watch this show. I had not seen an original ECW show in some time.
It's been a while.
Of course, going back to seeing it. First thing about this show that I noticed that I loved right away was the commentary. That was an ECW stand-up. They always had good commentary. Joey was always good, but they had Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Who people crap on Cyrus, but Cyrus is
Still
pretty
do.
good. But I mean, they still give him heat because he's still getting heat. But
Sure.
But that's one thing about this kind of getting early. But I thought that, look, see, I love ECW. I love the 94 to 99 period of ECW. To me, that is what wrestling kind of is. It's like gritty. It's down to earth. It's relatable. It's grungy. It's punky. It's hardcore rap. It's wrestlers being wrestlers and being themselves and being as outrageous as they want to be, which is what I view that as a wrestler today. And seeing the show, seeing the brick stage, seeing the blue ring canvas, the black ropes, seeing Francine, for God's sake, this is just a good show. I'm just gonna say
The Queen of Extreme.
Queen of Extreme. Doesn't live up to Kimona, but this is what we have now.
I agree.
Yeah, but despite this having some good matches, there were some points where I was confused. I think we're going to get to that.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, nice to have you guys again, as always. Glad to be talking about ECW finally. Jared, I know we've had different polls up, and I appreciate you always mixing it up and keeping me on my toes about what we're reviewing next. And
Always.
just want to remind everybody real fast before we dive into this, we do put polls up on Instagram. You know, we always are open for feedback and for your opinion on what we could review and, you know, what you guys want to hear from us. Yeah. Now, to start the show, we get a promo first, and it's a out-of-ring promo. We see Tanaka. What was it, Masato? It was his first name, Masato Tanaka.
Masato Tanaka. Yep. Yes.
Yep. So he's pulling up to the arena, and he's getting interviewed, you know, for his big championship match, because later on in the night he has a one-on-one match with Taz for the ECW World Title. Right. And he gets interrupted by Judge Jeff Jones. And
yes, he does.
Judge Jeff Jones says that, you know, pretty much like he's not going to be able to get it done. You know, he's just, you know, an afterthought behind who the real man is. That would be Jeff Jones's guy, Mike Awesome. Yep. And then essentially Tanaka slams his head on the back of the limo or vehicle he's riding in.
Car, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and then Judge Jeff says the price that Tanaka will pay will be awesome.
Awesome.
God.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's how we kick off with that first promo, and then it shifts in ring to Joey Styles and Cyrus in ring. Just the show introduction, them welcoming everybody, and Joey Styles gives the underlying theme for the whole evening, as we see later on, that in this lawless, anything goes promotion, tonight indeed, gentlemen, Anarchy rules.
No, wait. You have to say it just like he said it. Say
it. Joey Styles goes, Anarchy Rulz.
Yeah. Good job.
So,
Joey,
and then cue the badass ECW music, which still gets me hyped no matter how many times I hear it. Dun, dun, dun,
no, look, you can have your let the bodies hit the floor, but you don't need it when you have the original ECW song. And that's something else with ECW. They always knocked it out of the park with their theme songs and their music choices. Now, unfortunately, because we're watching it on Peacock and the network now, a lot of those themes have been dubbed over, which is unfortunate. Specifically in the case of one gentleman, East Side. One gentleman, his music is dubbed over, which I didn't like, but I love the original ECW song. It gives me chills.
Yeah. It does. All right. So
hold on. Wait. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Uh-oh. We got a treat for everybody.
Wait, I'm sorry. I did that wrong. I did that completely wrong. I have to hit share audio in the bottom corner, or else you guys can't hear what I hear. So yes. I can't believe that just happened. Anyway. Anyway, sorry, I had to play that.
No, I'm glad you did that because it always gets me pumped up, and that was perfect right before we get into the matches. Because to any new fans of wrestling in general, like if for some reason you just hopped on like iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast, and you're like, oh, reviewing all comers, this is like a pay-per-view review show. Like, I want to know what these guys have to say about ECW. Imagine that song playing to like dudes going through flaming tables and like just ultimate destruction and carnage, and Sabu doing a triple jump moonsault off a chair, off the top rope, either into the crowd or on his opponent. Just good times, good memories.
It is a good time. This show was a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will tell you something interesting before we get into this. I watched it with my grandmother. Okay. Our grandma's used to the old 80s, wrestling. She loved this show.
Wow.
She loved this show. She said it was one of the best shows she's ever seen. That's my grandmother. It was I could not believe that at all. I'm like, that's just crazy with all the crazy shit that happened. She loved it.
Yeah.
So
but without further ado, that's awesome. See, like, a promotion is good. Like, adding to that real fast before we dive into the matches. When fans from all ages, like whether you're just getting into wrestling or if you're not even sure what it is, ECW is kind of a good place to start because characters are.
Okay. That reminds me when I first saw ECW.
Okay,
and the first clip I ever saw of the original ECW was when Douglas threw down the NWA title.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I just thought to myself, and I'm like 13, 14 years old, so I'm already filled with hormones and rage or whatever.
Right.
We're all filled with. Yeah. But I was like, yeah! I was pumped for that. And then, like, the deeper you dive, you find all these matches, and that's something ECW doesn't get credit for, is the pure wrestling matches, which we're going to get to in this show because there's a lot of good pure wrestling matches. But, I mean, for God's sakes, they had so many good technical wrestlers, but I think we should get into the show to find that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And fans of any age can really get into ECW. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the point we're driving home here because it's a really good place to start because a lot of their characters are reality based and a lot of stuff is not just like some crazy out of left field do I have to put emphasis on, do I really believe this? Because when you saw an ECW attack or an angle, really, like, you were like, Jesus, like,
oh shit, is that guy dead? Like,
yeah. Yeah. So we kick off hot, I would say, because out comes Dawn Marie, and she's accompanying Lance Storm.
Yes.
So we get Lance Storm, who at the time is one half of the Impact players, with Just Incredible. And Lance Storm is coming out. And they're mentioning on commentary that ECW on pay-per-view has expanded. This is their first pay-per-view in Canada, too.
Yeah.
And how Cyrus is hyping Lance Storm up and saying he's the greatest wrestler out of Calgary, completely acting like the Hearts don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do think they bring up the damn
Hearts don't exist. It's just Lance Storm.
It's just Lance Storm, All right, so he comes out, and I love how raucous the Chicago crowd is, really, because all they're saying to Lance Storm, and he's trying to cut a promo, they're just like, show her tits. It's like at Dawn Marie. It's awesome.
Well, okay, look. That's something else for new fans is that the chants.
Oh, yeah, the chants and the crowds.
But also, speaking of commentary, you mentioned Cyrus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's so good at commentary. I know people know. Okay, let's see. Kayfabe alert. He is Don Callis, the one who's managing Kenny Omega on All Elite Wrestling, doing a fantastic job, by the way. But here he is back in '99. Cyrus the Virus, TNN executive, so be it from the network, and he is just on fire. He has some lines in this show that make me laugh. But
he gets Styles a lot.
But like, what I liked about his commentary was that he did what Paul Lee did on commentary so well, and that was he posed kayfabe questions to you while the matches were going on to get into your head. Like, I believe during the main event, kind of as like a pushing a little bit ahead, he was like, think about, or no, actually it was the main event was the television whatever.
Yeah, television championship.
He mentioned, Rob Van Dam trained for Johnny Smith, but he gets Balls Mahoney. That's a really good point. He trained for Johnny Smith, but he got Balls Mahoney. That's a good thing to pose on commentary, and like people should do that more.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. But so his opponent coming out next is the new effing show playing on RVD's name, because they had a great rivalry together. It's Jerry Lynn.
God.
Yeah. So
underrated.
We get this match between Jerry Lynn, and he comes out with his rib cage taped up, because I think the Impact players prior to this show, or somebody, Lance Storm, had attacked him and really hurt his ribs. So you have the commentators mentioning that, we don't know how long Jerry can go. Jerry is obviously injured, so they're bringing that to light and letting fans know that Jerry's fighting with a disadvantage here against Lance Storm.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
That's how it should always be done.
This match was really good. There is some outside interference from Dawn Marie. Of course, she has to help Lance Storm. Puts his foot on the rope and helps him out, distracts Jerry Lynn a lot. These two, I underlined just watching the first 5 minutes of this thing. Technical. Yeah, these two are just back and forth, catch can, really putting each other in hammer locks and stuff like that, and throwing each other off the ropes, ducking others' moves and stuff. It's just great to see, because real fast before we get into how the match finishes and how these two work together, everybody thinks that ECW at times is just nothing but bloodlust and I'm going to hit you in the head with a steel chair.
Yeah.
No. There are guys like Storm and Jerry Lynn that can really go.
Okay, and that's what drove me to ECW in the first place. I like the violence. Y'all know me. I like the violence. But I love technical wrestling more. And to learn who was all in ECW, guys like Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Scorpio, Shane Douglas, Jerry Lynn, Lance Storm. Those are some of the best technicians they ever had in business. And ECW does not get the credit for exposing a wider audience to pure wrestling before Ring of Honor ever came on the scene.
No, they don't.
Their mid-card was proto Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of everything, I truly feel like, in this match. How it ends up is Lance Storm gets him with a 3/4. I love Joey Styles' commentary too, as well. Not just talking about Cyrus, but how he describes moves. So he called it. It was like a 3/4 Nelson fundamental roll up. Storm gets him with it.
Wow.
Lance Storm pulls out the victory. And I would give this match, honestly, now going into ratings, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Great start to the show.
I'd agree with you on the good start to the show. I thought it was the best possible way you could open any CW show when you have these two. Had everything you'd want. They played to the crowd. They told the good story with Jerry Lynn's taped ribs. The commentary, exquisite from both these two gentlemen. And the crowd they were just so into it, especially when Jerry would go to the outside. And I enjoyed watching this match through and through. One of the best matches on the show. Not the best match on the show. That's for later. But but this match certainly was a great way to open the show.
Right. So in terms of a rating, Jake, if you had to give it a rating out of 10, which was what we normally do on the show, what would you give it? And you can do halves, like 8.5, whatever.
Yeah, I would honestly probably give it a 7 or a 7.5. I do like look, this is just me. I like when wrestling is a bit more fast paced near the end of the match. And ECW sometimes never picked up the pace. They did sometimes in the show, but this match sometimes it felt like it would slow down a little bit when it didn't need to, like after like a really hot spot.
Yeah.
But it was still a fantastic match. I still enjoyed it. It's great. So I would give it probably a 7.5. I'd say great way to open the show. Two of the most underrated guys in wrestling history. You're just going at it for a hot crowd in Chicago. What more could you want? That's professional wrestling.
Yeah. Right. Jared, your thoughts?
So I have to ask your question. Justin, how close do you think we're going to rate on this show?
Like you mean overall? Towards it, like after we get through all the matches at the end, like what we'll rate the show out of 10 is what you're asking?
No, like how will me and you rate all the matches? Like how close do you think we'll be in our ratings?
We've been pretty much just about dead on. Yeah. So it wouldn't shock me if, and keep in mind, we went over that Jared and I, after we picked the pay-per-view and after you guys have voted on a pay-per-view, we are like, he's all the way out in Michigan. I'm in Virginia. Jake's over there in Tennessee. So, I mean, you got three guys in different places, nowhere near each other, not watching this together. And so when we rate these matches, even though our ratings may seem close, we don't talk about this until we actually get on the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going flying in blind, but yet what you run into sometimes with me and Jared, we've been more often than not just about the same ratings.
Well, God,
so I'd say
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'd say we'd be really close, like usual. I think you'll be close with me.
Probably.
On a lot of these ratings.
Like for instance, Jake, last week we did Bash at the Beach 96. We almost rated every single match like almost the same thing. Like that, like we were so close within a couple of points.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just a bit off topic, different show, but I just have to ask. Isn't it so crazy to go back and watch the Hogan heel turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It's wild.
Because here he comes. He's got his weird little yellow cowboy boots, Herb Abrams style UWF, and here he comes out just strolling to the ring, just having a good time. Then he drops a leg on Macho Man. He's talking about organizations and Turner and all that. It's just kind of weird. But I still love it. But that's WCW. This is ECW. I think this, just sidebar. I love that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was a good one. It was a good pay-per-view. So I agree with everything you guys said. It was a great. I love this match. It was a great way to start off the show. I did kind of mention in my notes that Lance Storm hit a lot of hurricanranas in this match, which I think was kind of odd for him. Not something you see really when you watch him in WWF, but here he's in hurricanranas like nothing. I did like the rolling false finish spot. I thought that was pretty cool. And I gave it 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for me.
Wow. That's awesome. So a slight difference there, but everybody pretty much, Jake with the lowest 7.5 pretty much, and Jared with the highest, and I was split the difference right in between them. I was about 8 on it. So, all right. So after that match, we then have Simon Diamond come out. And he's just kind of looking all disapproving at the audience. And he gets on the mic and says, he always refers to himself in third person. And again, commentary spot on, talking about, how Paul Heyman even has high hopes for this young man later on down the line in ECW to become a star. And he says, I need a tag team partner. He's trying to get in this tag match.
Oh, yeah.
He talks Tom Marquez at ringside. This guy, just kind of in, looks like a part of the crew. He's got a probably an ECW t-shirt on, some like cut off blue jeans, or jorts. Yeah, and he gets in the ring, but then they're interrupted. Out comes Jazz. It was cool seeing. It's cool seeing Jazz before because I only knew her when I was growing up on WWE programming a little bit, mainly with Rodney Mack and used here and there in the women's division. That's how I was originally introduced to Jazz, but it took me through a loop to see her back on ECW.
Yeah.
And so basically this morphs into a match because Simon Diamond saying some pretty chauvinistic things here that would not fly nowadays. Something like, "Hey Toots, why don't you go back to the back and let the men handle this?" Stuff like that. Yeah, he doesn't think. She comes out and she's like, "I'm trying to make a name for myself," and he's like, "No, you're not going to be my partner. Why don't you go to the back? Go back there and clean up a little bit." Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And essentially this, I kind of put in my notes, this turns into a cluster because it turns into kind of like a big free-for-all towards the end, but it's like a 2-for-1 match because I wrote down technically as a match, Jazz starts fighting Tom Marquez because she tries to go for Simon Diamond, but Tom protects Simon Diamond. He weasels out of it. So they only go about a minute until it's a DQ because Tom Marquez gets her on the ground and the commentators are making a big deal about, "Oh, how could you, like hit a woman even though Jazz can take care of herself?" And then
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought Anarchy Rulz.
What?
I thought there were no DQs on the pay-per-view. Wait just a minute.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing though. That's where it gets a little weird, and that's why I ding this match a little bit because it's an intergender match, and they have Jazz go against Tom Marquez for a minute. She gets in, like he gets her on the ground for a minute, and then she gets him in the testicular claw and hits him with a, I've always called it the X Factor or the sit-out face buster.
That's the Bella Buster. Come on.
The Bella Buster. Boom.
Yeah, totally. But
I'm sorry.
She hits it, and she goes for the pin, and then Simon Diamond, it basically causes a DQ because he breaks up the pin at 2. Then that morphs into another match because I'm going to pull this together instead of giving that a rating right off because I don't know if you guys counted that as a match or not. So I'll just kind of pull these two together in this whole segment since it's all together on the network, or I should say Peacock now.
Peacock.
It was fully cock. All right, Jesus.
So now, after Simon Diamond interrupts, now it turns into like a free-for-all. Out comes Tony DeVito, this other guy who's helping Simon Diamond, another heel, and they're trying to get the better of Jazz, kick her on the ground, all that, do dastardly heel stuff. When Nova and Chris Chetty come out to make the save, and then this morphs into a tag match between, I always call him Hollywood Nova for the BWO,
right?
But Nova and Chetty
Simon
versus,
D.
Yeah, versus Simon D and Tony DeVito. And this match really, you see some high flying, you see some spots. Nova goes over the top rope and Chetty does a couple things, but it's essentially a no contest because all this that we've been mentioning builds up to the arrival of an absolute madman, a storied madman in professional wrestling that's about to come out and wreck everybody's world here in a minute. But essentially, it's thrown out. It's a no contest because everybody starts hitting the ring. Guys like C.W. Anderson and some other ECW talent. And it's just a big free-for-all battle in the ring between Simon Diamond, all these guys. And then all of a sudden, out comes New Jack.
Yes, he does.
And
Wait. That's the network dubbing problem. That's the one problem. New Jack has one of the best theme songs of all time. Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
I know you can't pay for the rights. But it would have been so cool to hear it. But seeing New Jack, I don't know if we can swear here.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That motherfucker. He tried to kill a guy on TV. Yeah, that dude's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And off of TV, he's insane.
And off of TV, he got stabbed. He stabbed a guy 5 times in the back.
At the merchandise table, he's insane.
That's crazy.
Almost killing Jim Cornette with a car. That happened.
The mass transit incident. Like, there's a whole dark side of the ring.
Yeah.
When you get an entire dark side of the ring about you, you know you're just crazy.
Oh,
yeah. But he comes out with a big brute trash can full of all
Toys.
wonderful, ECW weaponry, an arsenal of weaponry there.
That's right.
So he just gets in the ring and starts wailing on everybody with just about every weapon imaginable. He gets this one guy. I can't remember who the guy exactly was, but it's not exactly about who he was, but what New Jack does to some of these poor guys. He gets a staple gun, staples him in the head a couple times, hits him with a guitar. He's flinging, just about everything under the sun, and he comes out and makes the save for Nova and Shetty because the heels started to beat down everybody again. And the heels think they're on top, and then everybody thinks they're gangsta till the original gangsta comes out.
That's right.
To issue
so,
music.
I pull this whole segment together. I tried to rate the matches at first, and I'm like, well, nah, New Jack comes out and kind of saves this whole segment. I'm going to give this all, and I'm dinging it. I'm dinging it a little bit, not saying it was bad. New Jack really saved everything. Without New Jack, there's no point here. But New Jack brings it up a whole 4 or 5 points for me. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 for the whole segment. And that's me being kind of generous, really. But New Jack brings up a whole 4 points because originally between the matches alone, I was only going to give it a 2.5 out of 10.
Yeah. You know what? So going back to the beginning, Simon Diamond, I don't know what y'all's thoughts are on Simon Diamond. He's okay. He's not.
He reminds me of The Rock.
Well, yeah, that's what they're kind of going for. But I know it's his job to be obnoxious.
Yeah.
Now seeing Jazz also was pretty cool, as you said. But when you said Rodney Mack, and this is just kind of where my mind goes, whenever I hear the name Rodney Mack, I think of Teddy Long's 5-minute White Boy Challenge. Which is that's always a good memory to have. But then the entire 2003 TNA roster comes out and New Jack beats them all to death. But New Jack was the saving grace because I think we all knew where this was going to lead to. It wasn't just going to be a giant cluster full of the ECW mid-card. There had to be an end to it, and there was an end to it.
Oh, yeah.
Fools got shut up.
Fools got.
The Fools got by the OG.
Fools got.
There was no Mustafa. That brings it down all the way. No Mustafa. No, I don't. Where's Mustafa? But all jokes aside, I'll rate it probably. I think I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
The wrestling itself, Jazz was a bumper, but of course New Jack brings it up because he's fucking New Jack. So I'm a New Jack mark, surprisingly. So seeing New Jack always makes me happy, even when he kills people. So I'm pretty happy with this segment.
Kim, before Jared gives his rating, can we all just agree that the pop when he came out, man, the Chicago crowd was on fire.
No,
and then there's an angle. There's an angle, they pan back, and he's on the top rope, and he's just talking to the crowd, and he's waving his arms, and oh my God, I miss crowds like that in wrestling, like the ECW crowds, terribly.
Yeah, really.
Well, I mean, are you gonna boo him because he might come after you?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
He will find you in the parking lot after the show.
You boo me?
You boo me! You boo me!
A New Jack, remember that name? But it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's on crack, dude. I love this. I love
So what did you think of all this chaos, for lack of a better word? Or, it's called Anarchy Rulz. It's pretty much anarchy, we could call it. What do you think, Jared?
I didn't like that. So I do want to mention Simon Diamond over there trying to be The Rock. Mentioned that no man in the back can stand next to him on the side of the ring there, on the ring apron. And so Jazz comes out. Like, okay, well, no man can do it. What about a woman? You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
It's like, why not just accept the help and just prove that she's better than half the guys in the back? You know what I mean? Like that.
She was.
She
Simon,
she still is.
Simon, if it works out, maybe there's romantic interest for you too. Not saying you need a valet, but yeah. Gotta think of it too, boys.
Seriously. And so my grandma's not used to the intergender stuff. So
yeah.
Oh no.
So he kicked her, and her jaw dropped to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
The gasp was huge. I was like, yeah, it's all right. It happens.
It happens. No.
I wish I could have saw the look on your grandma's face as all this was happening.
Do you guys remember last year when Randy Orton gave an RKO to Beth Phoenix on Raw?
Yeah.
My grandma, her jaw dropped to the floor, her eyes out of her head. She couldn't believe. We were sitting there. She's like, "Nah, he's not gonna do it. He's gonna walk away." And then he does it, and she's just floored. I'm like, it's all right.
I'd be like, Grandma, he's done this like 15 years ago too. Poor little Stacy Keibler has also felt it.
Yeah, he did his step.
The fabulous Moolah.
That's true. Yeah. That's crazy. But
this man Randall Keefe out here just wilding. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's wilding out, man.
Just wilding.
I didn't really mention anything in my notes or anything. I give it a 5 out of 10 as well. I said Jazz deserved better, which I feel like she got better in WWF and now in Impact as well. She came back.
Yeah.
I want to pose a question to both of you.
Okay.
Could ECW have had a sustainable women's division in like the 90s?
Yes.
Yes, but I think they would have had to borrow from Japan.
Oh, okay. They certainly would have to, but I think that because all the big name women's wrestlers were signed to WWF.
Right.
They were going to get like China or Ivory or God forbid Lita. I mean, Lita was on this show, I think. Wasn't she on this show?
I don't think she was on this show.
I swear I saw Lita. Lita was somewhere on this show, I swear, but like they couldn't have gotten Lita. But I think they had Jazz.
They did have Jazz, yeah. A good wrestler.
Who is one of the most underrated women's wrestlers of all time, by the way. We're just gonna throw that out there. But
wait. No, she's not just a good women's wrestler. She's just a good wrestler.
Shit. You're right.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Just like she's pretty good. Former NWA Women's Champion.
So, Lita debuted on July 5th, 1999 on Raw's War as a part of the Ho Train. So she was not available for this show because she was in Memphis at the time.
Right. It might be like a YouTube video that I saw somewhere else, but she was in ECW.
She was. She was for like a year and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ECW, other than having a foothold in Japan for talent, not just, like the men's roster, as Jake alluded to, like could they build a women's? Lita actually got training in Mexico and could do a lot of the luchador stuff.
Which made her stand
as a parent, like you could see her flying around the ring with the Hardys when we were really introduced to her as kids, I'm sure, with, the Hurricane Ranas and stuff, and all of her diving like crossbodies and stuff. So
she was fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that segment. And then up next, we have a special, the first three-way dance of the night, because back then, before the common terminology triple threat, you could call it a three-way dance. And that's how they referred to it in several promotions, not just ECW.
Yeah.
But I really like the talent used here. So we see Little Guido and Sal E. Graziano of the Full-Blooded Italians, the FBI. They come out first for this three-way dance. And then next, we have Super Crazy. Super Crazy, very established.
Yes.
Well, at the time, he was still rising up, and he was still with ECW, whereas WCW already had took like Psychosis and Rey Mysterio from ECW and stuff like that. So they still had Super Crazy.
And he had already wrestled in WCW for like a few months, and he didn't like it. He went back to ECW for a while.
Yeah. So Super Crazy hits the ring next for this three-way elimination match. And then finally, a man that I feel like people don't talk about as much, even though I loved just about every single one of his runs, in just about any promotion. And that is, with his first name included here too, Yoshihiro Tajiri.
I never knew his first name
coming out
was I can't pronounce it. But you know.
God, how underrated is Yoshihiro Tajiri?
I never knew that. Like, they never mentioned it on regular WWE TV at all. Just Tajiri.
Right. So these three have a great match. This is where the high flyers shine.
Yeah.
Right here. Kind
Which
of
is
like
not
the
Guido.
middle.
Which is not Guido.
Guido's not necessarily a high flyer. He's just that little Italian that does the little chin thing and like riles up the fans, and he's just a little scrappy brawler. He reminds me of Scrappy Doo.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what little Guido is.
That's good shout though.
Nunzio.
So Little Guido is the first to be. There's some great action going on here. Like lots of high flying. Guido's trying to find a partner to team up with him to take out the other one. Stuff like that going on. But Guido's the first to be eliminated by a super crazy moonsault about 10 minutes into the match, a little under 10 minutes in. And then we have still some really good action between Tajiri and Super Crazy. And this match ends up with, I love the finishing combo here. Like, I know I'm not necessarily talking about some key spots. Like, if there's anything in the match, I kind of get to the end. When I cover or when I host certain shows, I kind of talk about who won, when they were eliminated, an elimination style match, stuff like that. And if there's any specific spots you guys have that you loved, I watch, the matches too, but I like to let you guys, or whenever I host, if anybody wants to talk about a specific move or spot or chemistry between talent and stuff, I'll let them sort of do that. So this match right here ends with Super Crazy getting caught by Tajiri. Tajiri hits him with the buzzsaw kick. I don't care who it's on. Anytime Tajiri hits the buzzsaw kick, I love seeing the buzzsaw kick. And then he follows that up with a running drop kick. Mm-hmm. And then he hits a brain buster for the 3. It's about a 15-minute match. I'm going to really give this one, honestly, I like this one a little bit better than the first match. I'm going to give it a solid 8.5. Like, I really enjoyed this match.
I agree. I think this was definitely better than the first match, and that is no disrespect to either Lance Storm or Jerry Lynn, but when you have these 3 competitors, which they had a storied series of these 3-way dances, and it was the perfect blending of all the styles. It was the little grappler and little brawler and little Guido, who's also underrated. Then you have the luchador and Super Crazy, and then you get to the cream, the cherry on top, if you will, the strong style brilliance of Yoshihiro Tajiri.
Tajiri was the beginning kind of a strong style. When it really started to rise to prominence, I should say.
I'd say he was the first Japanese wrestler stateside, besides when guys like Tenryu and Inoki would make their stops in the U.S. for like the two big promotions. He was the first one to like legitimize Japanese wrestling in the eyes of an American audience, and I think he gets unsung in ECW and just wrestling in general because he was so different.
Yep.
You know, he was different, and I love Tajiri. Also, him and William Regal. I love him and William Regal.
The best.
Great tag team. Great tag team. But this match was great. I would probably give it. I'll agree with you. 8 out of 10. Pretty good match.
All right.
Great match. Loved it.
All right. So I want to ask you guys a question. Do you know where the strong style comes from?
No.
Inoki?
Inokiism.
Yes.
Back
Inoki.
in New Japan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he wanted wrestling to be more like MMA. So he made his wrestlers do MMA style moves, which is where the strong style came from.
And I like that mentality, but that also resulted in the dark age of New Japan in like the mid 2000s because he had them compete in,
Actual
real mixed
UFC
martial
matches.
arts.
Yeah.
But strong style and Inoki and Inokiism, it's shown right here on this show.
Yeah, and
we'll see a little bit of that later too.
Oh yeah. So I really just mentioned, this is a great high spot match. This is one of those matches that I'm sure Dave Meltzer didn't like because it was a lot of spot monkeys, doing great moves because he's a little bitch.
I mean, come on, the wrestling business needs spot monkeys. Like
they do. They do.
Okay, look, I love old school territorial wrestling, but I don't want to stick to it all the time. I love ECW, and I still love the NWA, but like you need these kind of matches and these kind of wrestlers. They're the car crashes in the middle of the movie. You know?
Right. Yeah.
They're fantastic.
They are. Yeah. I agree. I went a little higher than you guys. This is probably, I think, the furthest me and Jay Phil haven't in our ratings. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Really?
Oh, wow.
One of two 10 out of 10s I gave this this match.
I can guess the other one.
I don't give 10 out of 10s very much, but when I like a match, I love the fucking match. So 10 out of 10 for this match. I'm obviously a huge Super Crazy fan. Watching him on WWE, even though he did ride a tractor for some reason.
The
Mexicools, and they all look like gardeners. It's very odd. But you watch his matches and you can't help but smile at all the crazy shit he does, and he's still okay. Still gets up and walks around and does it again. And, it's fucking crazy.
He's still going
super crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is crazy.
Yeah.
But I love it.
I'm glad we all are in agreement on that match, though, that it was really good. Perfect spot for it, too.
I'm surprised you guys went so low on this match.
Well,
I mean, I really enjoyed it, but compared to some of the other stuff on the card, oh my god! Like, I mean, I like this better than the opener, but coming up here, we'll really get into
There's one match later that popped me, but there is one spot in this match where I think it was where Super Crazy had some kind of maneuver on, I think it's like a camel clutch on Tajiri, and little Guido comes in behind him and gets the crab.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the double submission.
I loved that. I was like, we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more of that. Why don't you guys do that more? Really.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That was so creative.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes sense in kayfabe too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good spot.
Right. Now, before the next match, I'm pretty sure we get another promo coming up.
Do we?
it's close around this time. If it's not right after that match, and it's after the next. I know it's before the last three. So I'll just cover the promo real fast.
Yeah.
The next promo we hear is from backstage from Steve Corino.
Oh yeah,
their
that's
monster.
right.
Yeah, Steve Corino, Rhino, and Joey Victory are sitting there, and it's Corino doing the talking here, which kind of, when you are familiar with Rhino the most out of the three, as I would say most wrestling fans are, you would kind of think maybe either Rhino or Joey Victory would be doing the talking here. No offense to Steve Corino. Steve Corino,
oh no,
great talent. I feel like underrated talent.
Trainer
but
in the performance
Rhino
center.
was originally brought in. Yeah, Rhino was originally brought in as their monster. Like that's kind of he was kind of like their muscle.
From Michigan
before
boy.
he really started. He's from Detroit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Detroit. Yep.
Built like a brick shit house.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah,
he's huge.
So essentially, in this promo, Corino says he always speaks the truth, and he's addressing Tommy Dreamer and Raven here, and how there's faults in the crack of their team, because the ECW tag team champions at this time are the ultimate rivals. I feel like in ECW, Dreamer and Raven.
Yep.
Oil and water.
Yep.
Yeah. So Corino essentially says he always speaks the truth and delivers on his promises, and he promises that he and Rhino will defeat them and take home those ECW tag titles later on in the show.
But wait. There's something that happens in this that makes me laugh. So Steve Corino, he's like, now listen, I speak the truth here. We wanted to get the Insane Clown Posse for the show, but they bailed out. He just goes on like a 5-minute rant. He buries the Insane Clown Posse, and look, that like their music is pretty fun. I like the Insane Clown Posse, but it was so funny to see that it was just they won't come. They're stupid. Just burying the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was funny. Oh,
because the ICP was doing stuff with WCW, and ECW really hated WCW. Really, because
really hated them.
Yeah. So anytime they had an opportunity to take a jab at WCW, they pretty much would, and this is case in point.
Which at this time was easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they wanted money, and as you mentioned near the top of the show, ECW, these are the last few years, and Heyman financially is struggling. Like, he's still searching for, I don't think they had hit TNN yet.
They did.
They didn't have that TV deal yet.
They did.
Oh, they did at the time? Oh,
yeah,
okay. So, correction. Sorry.
Because Cyrus keeps mentioning the network on this show.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
And that's who he's talking about.
I wasn't thinking of Cyrus as the network guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, he was still struggling to pay the talent, though, even after that TV deal.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I was getting at there. So ICP didn't. Yeah. So the ICP weren't going to stick around, and because they knew they wouldn't get paid because checks were still bouncing around at the time.
And I think they also started their promotion around this time as well. JCP.
Right. JCW, right?
Yep.
Which resulted in Backyard Wrestling on PS2, which was my gateway into one of my gateways into wrestling to begin with. So thank you, Clown Posse. But I understand why they wouldn't come in, because like the checks were bouncing and the writing wasn't on the wall yet, but it was clear they
pretty
were in
close.
some trouble.
Yeah,
they were in some trouble. But it would have been kind of interesting to see that ICP match, because that's like a joke. It's like, oh, Dreamer, Raven, and the Clown Posse walk into a bar. Like that's just, you don't think about Raven and the Clown Posse together at all.
No, you don't.
No, it's not even Dreamer. Dreamer is just the odd man out in all this.
Yeah.
It's just funny. So getting back to the action in the ring, after that promo, here comes Justin Credible with Jason, and they hit the ring because Credible is supposed to face a newly reinstated Sabu back in ECW. So essentially, he comes out and cuts a promo first because he has a plan. He comes out and he says that he has a restraining order. That Sabu can't touch him. Sabu's not going to do anything to him tonight. But Justin Credible, still being that little smirk heel, is like, I'll take a count out or forfeit victory, over Sabu, and then Jim Molyneux, right? I think that was his name, Jim Molyneux. He steps up and says, "Oh no, Justin Credible, you will face Sabu tonight. He doesn't care if you have a restraining order or not. This is Chicago and this is Anarchy Rulz, so anything goes. There's total bedlam. It doesn't matter that you have a restraining order, essentially." So he tells the ring announcer, he says, "Go ahead and introduce, Sabu, bring him out here, or introduce the match." And then Justin Credible looks at him and says, "Don't you dare think about it." And the next thing you know, the ring announcer goes to start saying something, and then boom, Singapore cane right to the head from Justin Credible. Big whap.
He breaks the cane.
Yeah, he breaks it. He hits. Yeah,
he went in.
Yeah.
Poor Bob
he waylaid
Ortiz.
him. Yeah. So after that, the lights go out, and then if you haven't seen if you've seen an ECW show before or are familiar with Sabu, you know what happens next. But if you
The Undertaker comes out.
What?
That's right. The Undertaker comes out.
I am American Badass.
I know.
Yeah, and he gets pissed, and he's like, Justin, he tombstones Credible, and he gets on the mic and he says, "You stole the tombstone."
You don't come into Chicago. You come into my yard and do all this. I'm the Undertaker. Aldo Montoya. That's what Hulk Hogan. I thought that was what Hogan. The Dungeon of Doom, dude. Jack Brother, dude. Booty Man. You don't do that.
Booty Man, brother.
but really, Sabu comes out, and it's Sabu. He's over like Rover. He is the ECW dream child. He should have been the world champion for a longer period of time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
He should have been. We can't look.
I agree.
When you have Sabu on your roster and he's not, it's not like the WWE ECW. And you have Sabu and Fonzie.
Yeah.
Come on. You can print money with that. Just give him the belt.
Now, Fonzie, you mentioned him because Fonzie manages both Sabu and RVD. And Fonzie is out there with him. The match is about to get underway, but I want to point out here that Fonzie is very polarizing. You either love him or you hate him if you're familiar with ECW, for a couple reasons. One, first of all, every time he's out there at ringside, you hear nothing but whistles.
Yep.
So if that annoys you, it don't matter if he's managing I don't know, your favorite of all time. But also, I'll bring this up real fast about Fonzie that he's remembered for. And he wanted to remain loyal to ECW, which tells me a lot about Fonzie. But he sold ECW secrets and stuff like that. And,
really?
To WCW.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Damn it, Fonzie.
Yeah. So, and if you remember the match between Beulah and Fonzie, he paid his penance in blood. That was his pound of flesh he had to pay. Because overall, they let him stay, but God, Beulah beat the hell out of him.
He deserved it.
You know what? I have a funny story about Fonzie.
Oh, jeez.
So, at the time, ECW, I saw ECW 14, 15. I was still in junior high school, right? I remember in gym class, I would take the whistle, and I had somebody else who knew what ECW was. We do the Rob Van Dam in the Fonzie it would just be like dodgeball. But that was good memories. But I personally like Fonzie as a manager. He's different.
Yep.
He feels like probably like a gym class teacher from hell most of the time. But
looks like one too.
I think his best managerial pairing was with Taz.
Yeah. Right.
I
kind of think so too.
But I think his highlight in ECW was the Fonzie and Beulah match. The other one being when he managed Van Dam and Sabu in that amazing tag match in Heatwave '98 with Jinsei Shinzaki and Hayabusa. You know, which by the way, if people right now, if you don't know who Hayabusa is, go and watch Hayabusa. Find a Hayabusa match. Watch Hayabusa. He laid the groundwork for the modern style. Mm-hmm. Just the little sidebar, you know.
So essentially, what happens here is the match gets underway. You have both managers at ringside, but this is where it gets a little bit more hardcore in the evening. Mm-hmm. Not saying there wasn't trust me, what New Jack did was beyond hardcore. But this is in a match, in a ring the bell match, not just a anarchy, like a New Jack kicking the crap out of a bunch of people. This is where the tables come out, Sabu spots, chairs, all of that. Incredible gets juice here pretty good. He gets bladed.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute he's fine, and the next minute just oh God. I was like, what happened? And then they explained, he got cut from the table.
Table shards or the metal on the table, something.
Which I think that's what happened. That did not look like a clean blade job. It looked like he legitimately got cut open. Sabu got cut open too.
Yes.
Like the sides.
Yeah.
Which gave the match a great look, by the way, because these two are just fucking killing each other. But
yeah, they're killing each other. They're going at it. Multiple air Sabus, which is Sabu would essentially set a table between the ring and the guardrail and set a guy on it, and then flip over on top of them. Both go through the table.
Okay, he had a brutal spot. He did not put Just Incredible on his back. He put face first on the table.
Yep. Oh yeah.
That to me was extra brutal. You know?
Yeah.
And Joey Styles, rightfully so on commentary. You know, he was like, that could break his spine. You know?
Yeah, because instead of bending this way, he had to bend this way, and that's not how spines bend, you know.
He just cracked him, by the way. He just got him.
Yeah. So these two were just beating the piss out of each other and doing everything to each other. And then Sabu locks Just Incredible in the camel clutch, and this is where we start to get some outside interference, not only from Jason but from Fonzie a little bit too. Jason keeps interrupting the camel clutch and getting Sabu off of Just Incredible, and what this ends up leading to is Sabu knocks him off the apron and deals with him for a minute until he starts to get back in it, and then he wants to hit Air Sabu and put him through a table on the outside. But that's when Just Incredible grabs the kendo stick. And I love this spot because Sabu was about to jump from the off the chair onto the top rope and then hit Just Incredible's manager, Jason, when Just Incredible catches him midair, kendo stick shot to the gut. And then we get towards the end of the match, and when both managers are out of play, I want to note here that Just Incredible showed a lot of resiliency, as did Sabu. Sabu kicked out of That's Incredible, the Tombstone Pile Driver.
Yep.
He kicked out of one of those. And then I love how they had back and forth with both men reversing the Tombstone, because you don't see many people like reverse, because it takes a lot of strength to hold somebody's weight up in the Tombstone position.
Yeah.
So they keep going back and forth, and then finally the match ends up with Just Incredible finally hits it after Jason gets involved again, hits Sabu, because it looks like Sabu's about to hit Just Incredible with a taste of his own medicine. That's Incredible on a chair. When he gets hit with a kendo stick, then Just Incredible reverses it, That's Incredible on the chair. 1, 2, 3. Just Incredible beats Sabu, which I was kind of shocked. I thought Sabu might get the win here.
I think it'd
I
be
love
good for
this
Credible though.
Yeah. Huge win for Just Incredible. A sign of things to come in the future for him. But I love this match. I loved it more than the opener and even slightly more than the three-way. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 actually. But it's still not the best match on the card. That's around.
Oh no. Look, see, I love the three. Okay, like the first three-way dance.
Yeah.
I love that match. I don't think this match was better than the three-way dance in terms of the wrestling aspect, but in the storyline aspect and the violence aspect, it was more violent than the three-way dance because the three-way dance was more pretty. It was more of a technical showcase. This was just two people beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, if you're more of a pure wrestling fan, technical showcase, high flying ability, like it's like going to the store and picking all these different fruits and stuff. You want to get like a well balanced like diet and activate all your taste buds, not just one. But if you're more of a fan of storyline driven stuff, like right from the get go, the intensity levels were up because Just Incredible Singapore caned the hell out of the ring announcer, and then it was on. And I don't know. I love the intensity levels in this, and that's what gives me the edge. And it was hardcore in a match, not just the New Jack coming out. So, I mean, I have it right there with it, but I give that one slightly the edge. Probably because of name value too, because of Sabu. No offense to don't get me wrong, I love Tajiri and Super Crazy is amazing too, and even Little Guido. But I loved it. So there's something for every wrestling fan, and I'm glad we're having that you rate it better than the three-way.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't bad at all. It was one of the really rare examples in wrestling where it's a story-based hardcore match. You don't see that often. And I like that thing. I think that this match, it's maybe not a 9 for me. I know why you would give a 9, and I respect that. I would probably give this probably a 7.5 or an 8.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I like this match a lot. It was one of the better matches on the show. It's always good to see Sabu. It's always good to see Just Incredible. Fonzie and Jason. The ring announcer, the referee became the biggest babyface in all of Chicago for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think everybody had a good role in this. Everybody got their chance to shine, so I'll give it a solid 8. Pretty good, just good ECW match.
And before Jared gives his thoughts, quick side note: there might be. I try not to be biased. Obviously, we all have our favorites, guys. Favorites of all time. Guys we defend and guys that either we have some kind of connection to. Well, my connection to Sabu is I've met Sabu and Super Genie once. They came and wrestled an independent show for Innovate Wrestling. And yes, in Kingsport, Tennessee, Innovate Wrestling has had talent that has appeared on AEW even.
Wow.
Gotta love Kingsport, Tennessee.
But yeah. So at the Civic Auditorium one time, they brought in, I've met X-Pac there. I've met Sabu there. I've met Chase Owens there. A few different guys. Yeah. So Sabu was just so cool to meet. And he was one of the first ECW originals I met. So, I like Sabu.
Well,
he's been through hell and back.
What other ECW originals have you met?
One time I went to, and then Jared, I know you're chomping at the bit to get back in the match, but real fast, I went to a Legends. I think it was an NWA Legends Fest or something like that in Charlotte one time with my dad, and they had. Oh my God, I shadowed Tommy Dreamer like all day. Like I didn't stalk the guy, but what I mean by shadowed him was he was so nice to me. I've met Tommy Dreamer, and then I got a photo op with him saying, like, I gotta find this picture because I was younger. It was towards the end of high school for me, and I remember going to this thing, and I thought I was the hottest crap there because I had my big CM Punk shirt on and everything. But I met Dreamer, Sandman, Just Incredible.
Oh.
And Oh man, just incredible. And the fourth one was, oh God, who am I leaving out? It might have been
New
Balls
Jack.
Mahoney. No, it wasn't New Jack. I wanted to say
I
it was
wanna meet
Balls
New
Mahoney
Jack.
or it was Balls Mahoney or one of the Rottens. But I got a photo op, and they let me. Here's the kicker: they had the ECW titles with them, and I got to hold the. They asked if I wanted to hold the WWE CW title or the OG one, because they
Pick
looked
the
pretty much
OG.
the same. But I held the OG one. Like, yeah, yes. So that's my big ECW story.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm fucking jealous of you now.
It was a while ago, but it meant a lot to me. Still does.
Yes. Yes.
So, what did you think about Sabu and Credible, Jared?
I like the match, obviously. Big Sabu fan, big Credible fan. I love that. I cringe really hard at the spot where Sabu put Credible on the table and jumped at his back instead of his stomach. That was hard to get through.
Yeah.
I don't think that this match is as good as either of the three-way dances, but I still gave it 9 out of 10.
Hey, there we go.
So we're always really close, or sometimes we're even right on with each other.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we all gave the next match the same thing, because I'll feel really bad if I gave it better than you guys did.
Speaking of the next match, I had to go and get it because I mean
Oh,
this is the belt, like the version of the belt that was used in the next match, and we'll get into that more. But I just have to have it here because I'm a fucking mark. So
hey, nothing wrong with that.
the next match, by the way. Oh, what's this? Oh,
That's the
is.
Midwest Mafia, or the Mayhem title, whatever you want to call it.
It's actually turning into the Mayhem World Championship very soon.
Sweet.
I like that.
Yeah.
This is my baby right here.
I don't have New Glory. She's in the back of my car right now. And also, quick backyard note before we get into the rest of this card and start to close this out. I now also have tag team gold. The last ever SVBW tag team champions are the Cavalier Connection, Mercer and Mullins. So that's a big honor for me. And yeah, my titles are outside, so I can't join in with the gold collection right now. But
so bad.
Anyway, the next
so bad for Justin. Oh man, it's just us now. We're in the gold club, baby. We're in the gold club now.
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
You did this man so dirty.
He's got to get me somehow. He's going to get
right.
me somehow. Oh goodness. But the next match, as these guys have alluded to, oh my God. This, I was surprised again, going down the card, and also when I watched this, I said, what? The World Championship is on now? And I see there's still like an hour or so left in the show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And so out comes Tanaka.
Okay.
And
yeah. Can I say one thing real quick that I marked out
ahead.
for when? So on commentary, when Tanaka came out, Joey Styles mentioned that Tanaka was the current World Heavyweight Champion of FMW.
FMW. Mm-hmm.
By the way, I want to put this out there. I'm an FMW mark. I love FMW. Its history is complicated but kind of crazy. So to hear that FMW was mentioned on the show, and Tanaka, of course, was an FMW regular at this time, gave me some little goosebumps because I like, but that was pretty cool to know that the FMW World Champion was also getting a shot at, this beautiful thing. Yes.
Did we talk about that in the interview I did with you?
FMW?
Yeah. Or is that after?
I think we touched on FMW a little bit, but people. Hey, I'm just gonna just put this out there. If y'all ever decide to do like an FMW review of like one of the shows, just keep in mind I would love to be there because it's probably more crazy than this.
Probably.
Depending on which show.
Probably.
I'm about to make Jake probably be like, what? But believe it or not, I'm not. I mean, I'm familiar with Tanaka, but I'm not too familiar with the FMW product. I got to watch some more of it. I haven't watched a whole lot of it.
Not a lot of people are, but actually 2 of the 3 people in this 3-way dance are FMW legends. Because Mike Awesome in FMW, the Gladiator.
Oh yeah,
but
the Gladiator.
That's a different. I'm just saying. One day, I think we all need to cover FMW. I think we should do that one day. Just throwing that out there, I'd be so happy. But this is ECW, and what a match we have coming up for all of us.
Oh yeah. So Tanaka's coming down to the ring, and as Jake mentioned, they mentioned that he is the FMW World Heavyweight Champion. At the time. So he comes down to the ring, and then out comes and can I mention, I always love hearing, I might be crazy, and I know everybody kind of likes the WWF Taz theme, but I love hearing "Survive If I Let You," and Taz is original thing.
That's my favorite Taz theme too.
Yes.
I got chills when he walked out with it.
Yeah, so Taz is the world champion. He's the champion in this match, and it is scheduled to be a one-on-one between Tanaka and Taz for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, which is awesome because, no pun intended. Both are world champions, but like Taz at this time, like I don't think like pound for pound, suplex for suplex, like he's one of the toughest men in wrestling. Period, bar none at the time.
Oh yes.
So before this match gets underway, Taz gets distracted. He looks out in the crowd and sees Heyman over there talking to Judge Jeff Jones and Mike Awesome. And Taz sees Judge Jeff over there and Mike Awesome. He's like, yeah, you think you're so big and bad? Why don't you come step in this ring and let's make this a 3-way, you big SOB. And
Taz had nuclear heat.
Oh yeah, Taz was. Oh, they were booing him bad.
They were chanting, "You sold out." I believe this is when he was teasing signing with WWF.
Yeah, he was working his way out.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And they let him know it, but he cut one of the best promos I've heard. He was and then here comes. Okay, we'll get to Heyman's promo, but this whole beginning segment lit the match on fire to me.
Yeah, so Taz is talking about how, nobody is. He wants to earn it still, and he knows he can beat both of them. He wants Awesome to get in the ring. Yeah. And Awesome's trying to hop the barricade, get in, but Heyman's right there holding him back with security. And then Taz turns his attention to Heyman, and he's like, "Oh, here's the savior. Oh, always here to save the day, Paul E. Heyman." And then they kind of shoot on each other back and forth. And I believe parts of this are legitimate. But I'm going to since Jake wants to talk a little bit about the promo leading up to the match before, as we're alluding to, Awesome does enter the match. But what Heyman says back to him, and,
it's honestly kind of monumental because he's like, "I built you as the baddest motherfucker on the planet." Which is true. Yeah. He built Taz, and people forget how over Taz was.
Yeah.
Right.
Because let's just all be honest here. We all know about his run in the Fed.
Of course.
It did not live up to his reputation. It killed his entire it pretty much killed Taz. But if we look at this Taz, he had his own custom belt. With Onesie, he had this custom belt. And he was the baddest motherfucker on ECW and probably in wrestling besides probably Austin at this
Right.
time. But they shot on each other. Paul Heyman made, but it felt real and it gave heat to the match. And of course, when Heyman says it's a tradition in ECW for a three-way dance and he lets Awesome in, that's when the match caught fire to me. That was when it was like, oh shit, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting just Tanaka and Taz, which I thought this can be a great match. But then when Mike Awesome is just conveniently in the crowd with his wrestling gear on, as you do, and he's just out there vibing with Judge Jeff Jones and Heyman's out there, everybody's out there, and he gets into the match. I was like, oh my god, here we go. This is pretty much Mike Awesome's match, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, bottom line, Heyman's like, you really want to make this a three-way? You want to take on two guys at once and defend your belt? And Taz is like, yeah, I know I can beat him. So he lets him across the barricade. Awesome's ready to go. We've got a three-way elimination dance for the ECW World Title.
Yes,
and the place is kind of erupting. So when we get into the match, I love the start of the match. I have to mention the start of the match because Taz is just in the corner because there's this FMW rivalry, as Jake alluded to, between Awesome and Tanaka. And they're just beating the piss out of each other to start the match. And you have Taz in the corner, and he's just sitting back there like, yeah, kill each other, clapping for him, And then they notice him like thinking he's all tough over there and, and he's wanting them to come attack him. Taz, you get your wish, buddy, because 2 minutes in, we see the heated rivals Tanaka and Awesome kind of fluently working together there. And what ends up happening to kind of start this match, a huge shocker. So they team up on Taz for a minute. And what happens is Tanaka gets the roaring elbow. And then Mike Awesome, may I mention, 6'8" is what they say he is, 300 pounds. The Awesome Splash, which is just a diving body splash off the top. But when 6'8", 300's coming down with all that gravity, oh, yeah, it's enough to – and then they double pin Taz. So we're guaranteed a new world champ. Just to start the match, in a way. First couple minutes.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so everybody is shocked. The locker room comes out, like, to kind of pay their respects to Taz. Like, everybody, this is a time in wrestling where this is right after the Montreal Screwjob. The curtain has been pulled back. People know there are friends behind the scenes of any kind of wrestling, really. So the whole locker room's out there, and they're paying their respects to Taz, and Taz tells the two guys to get it on. Taz has his moment with the locker room, and then, oh my God, it's war between the heated rivals. Tanaka and Awesome go at it. And when I say they go at it, like, I mean, like, it is power moves. And this is also alluding back to what they did in FMW. And there's not a lot of footage of that on the internet that people can go and look at, but they had a year-spanning rivalry in FMW. But this, to me, in ECW is the peak of this rivalry between Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka, because they truly made this feel like the most important championship in all of wrestling. Yeah.
And those two, I could watch them wrestle forever. For the first time in years, I got sucked into this match. Everything was hitting. And I was marking out for Mike Awesome.
Right. And it's easy. And the fans even do a 180. And Mike Awesome is a heel. And the fans are solidly behind Tanaka because they're against Judge Jeff Jones. And they're used to Tanaka. And Awesome is kind of, I wrote down in my notes, he's kind of the outsider looking in. whereas Taz already had the world championship, and Tanaka is the world champ for FMW.
Mhm.
So you have the FMW world champ and his heated rival, Mike Awesome, who is the outsider looking in, who nobody expected to be a part of this match right off in the match. And oh my God, they keep trying to set up this one spot. And eventually they hit it real fast. And then I'm going to wrap this up in just a second to get to the end of it and let you guys talk about whatever you want to talk about. But he sets up a table outside, and Awesome keeps trying to hit him with like a crucifix power bomb over the top rope through the table. Which if you put yourself, oh my God, if you put yourself in the shoes of any fan back in 1999. Like, I know nowadays there's all sorts of crazy spots. There's Canadian destroyers off the top of ladders and stuff like that. But like, this was a major spot for 99.
It would still be a major spot today.
Yeah. Dropping out of the ring. And may I mention, this is ECW. You're falling through a table and then you hit the good old comfortable soft concrete floor, you know. That has to feel good on your bones. But essentially how this ends up is towards the end, this match, you know, they go back and forth. They highlight each other's moves and show why their rivalry, while it's not as mainstream as like say Rock and Austin to the American public, but in terms of ECW, like, you know, besides Raven and Dreamer, this rivalry right here. So it ends up with a super awesome bomb off the top rope through a table. Because Tanaka's trying to like superplex him through it at first, and then he reverses and puts him through it. 1, 2, 3. Mike Awesome is your new world champion.
Oh my gosh.
And Taz comes back to the ring, grabs the belt from the ref, says, "No, let me do it." He looks at the title, realizes what he just lost, and then he shakes Mike Awesome's hand and shows honor. And he gives him the belt. And even though the fans are trying to chant for Taz because they know he's leaving, Taz directs the attention back to Awesome in the ring and says, "No, chant Awesome." Just wow. 10 out of 10. Like, 10 out of 10 for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I look. The commentary, perfect. The wrestling, perfect. The presentation was perfect. Every person in this story, every player, every actor, every part in this story was perfect.
Right.
And the right person went over. Because let me tell you both something. I don't want to be a mark or anything. How in the hell did WWF let Mike Awesome slip from them?
I don't know. And then what's worse is he went to WCW, and this is the ECW edition. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Sting man and was brought up in a WCW home. But what the hell? They misused Mike Awesome in the worst way you probably misused him.
I don't want to get heated because this is a positive thing. That's for a different time. But just let me say this. Anybody who will watch this and does not know who Mike Awesome is, and also Masato Tanaka, but more so Mike Awesome, look up Mike Awesome. Look him up because you are going to see probably one, especially in '90s, one of the most underappreciated, overlooked talents. This guy had mic skills. He had the look. He had the feel. He could do everything. That is the guy who should be a world heavyweight champion. He could have been the WCW champion. He could have easily been WCW champion.
Oh, yeah.
And if they would have built him right after the invasion, good God. Who knows what he would have went on to do? Unfortunately, he did pass away, which is terrible. Yeah. Of suicide, which no one should. That's just terrible, and I feel bad for whatever he was going through. But
yeah,
10 out of 10 for this match. Best match on the card. Best match. One of the best matches in ECW history. Probably. This is up there for me with the Benoit Guerrero. No, it was the Malenko Guerrero match.
Yeah, the go home match they both left.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Taz Bam Bam match.
Mm-hmm.
This is up there with all of them in the ECW moments. Even if it doesn't get brought up, know this is probably ECW at its best right here with these three guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what you have to know. Go out of your way to watch this match.
Absolutely. Jared?
If anything from this show, watch this match.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear Jared's thoughts on all this too, as he was watching, and maybe what his grandma thought about all this utter carnage going on before her eyes.
I don't think she understood it.
Okay.
From a storyline perspective. But she said she liked the match. I do remember talking to her about the match.
Yeah.
She said it was good. She loved every match on the show, which was kind of interesting. And I love this match. I didn't realize who it was at first until I saw him. And when so my grandma's used to Paul Heyman as he looks now, all right? And when he turned around, I'm like, look, it's Paul Heyman. She's like, no. I'm like, yeah, no, that's Paul Heyman. She's like, I never would have guessed that was Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would.
No. Going through this match, so, or going through the show, not just the match, but the show, she knows who Paul Heyman is. She knows who Rhino is. And going through all these matches with all these guys that she knows, Rhino, this will come up later, but Rhino and Carino are 23 during this show.
Yeah.
That is insane to me. That is insane to me. They worked in ECW, or Rhino worked in ECW, WWE, TNA, ROH for a little bit, not a whole lot, but he was there for a little bit.
That was weird.
Yeah, right. He's been everywhere since like 97 or 98.
Yeah.
He's been in like all these really high profile promotions. And it's just crazy to me to think about
Unsung.
That. Yeah.
Unsung.
And he's great everywhere he goes. He's great.
I agree. Like, talking on him a second before we get to the next match. Before we wrap up the Awesome and Tanaka and Taz triple threat for the world title, what did you think about the way, because this to me was, to my knowledge, one of the first times in wrestling where, oh my God, the fans know Taz is leaving, but it really feels like the passing of the torch. And maybe the younger fans that are listening, we talk about Icon versus Icon, Rock and Hogan. Then a decade after that, Rock, Cena. We're edging that territory here again. Does Cena put somebody over? But like, you see the passing of the torch.
I think he did, didn't he?
Well, Cena put over Bray.
Styles.
Yeah.
Styles. I was talking more Bray though. I mean, he put Bray over pretty hard.
Oh yeah, he did.
I mean, he pretty much had to. Had to.
Right. But what would you? So I'm assuming you're at a 10 as well, Jared. I'm just gonna assume here.
Yeah, 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Great. So we're 10s across the board. Wow, that's
across the board.
Full sweep. Thank goodness we all agree on that one.
I was really hoping. I was kind of scared. I'm like, oh no, oh God, I don't know if I rated this too high or not.
Nope. Not at all, friend.
If we can go to 11, we go to 11.
No, we can't. Nope.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nope.
Now there's only 2 matches. There's only 2 matches left on this card, but real fast, I'm going to hit a wonderful promo that I actually want Jared to cover, kind of. Yes. And then YouTube, I want you to go back and forth and discuss the history promo, the history lesson from Raven to everybody. If you're unfamiliar with the rivalry with him and Tommy Dreamer, this promo has it. And then some. And he still says at the end, like, I'm still like, the devil. How was it he worded? He said the devil, his greatest trick was what?
The greatest trick the devil ever did was making you think he didn't exist. Dreamer, I still exist.
Yes. Even though he's his tag
God.
partner, he's saying the animosity's still there. So just watch it. Yeah. So what did you guys think about this promo? For a promo, I rank this a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I mean, really, really, really good. I couldn't ask for much more out of a ECW
Jake,
promo.
You guys already know how much I love promos. You guys already know how much I value the art of a promo. Raven's one of the guys I studied before I made Backyard Wrestling debut. He's one of the guys I studied, and I had never seen this promo before this.
Okay.
So, because I've seen a lot of the promos that he's done, but I've never seen this one. Scott Levy, Raven, whatever you want to call him. He can weave together a story like Shakespeare or H.P. Lovecraft. He's on that level. He can tell a story so well. You can visualize the whole thing happening, and they do visualize it for you. But this never-ending saga of Dreamer and Raven, they knew each other at camp. Tommy was the bully. Tommy, whatever. It's a beautiful story. It is the ECW story.
Yeah.
And this promo is a 10 out of 10 for me when it comes to promos. And I've never seen it before.
Right,
This is what a promo should do. It tells you the story, gives you the background, and then it hypes up the match, whatever match it's building to. It sold the match for me. And it's just, I love this promo. Any wrestler, watch this promo. You can learn a lot from it.
I agree with Jake.
Jared, what do you think?
This promo is great. There's nothing more I can really say about it. I mean, Jake said everything. I mean, it's one of the best promos probably I've ever seen. And I watch Randy Savage promos for fun. It's so good. It gives you that background. You know, I do enjoy that. I just love that story. I mean, I don't know who doesn't, to be quite honest. And if you haven't seen this, at least watch the promo. The promo kind of tells you everything. That there's still hatred there. I think the story spans to today too. It's just crazy. I do want to mention though, real quick. So I was listening to Busted Open the other day, and Bubba was talking about how they were putting together TLC 2, I think, at WrestleMania, and he's like, yeah, so we're getting all this stuff together, and we're like, well, we want Rhino to come in, and he's like, so I look over at the announcer's desk where he's sitting with Christian, and he's like, and Rhino is falling asleep. He looks at Christian, he's like, hey, Christian, get your boy. He's like, I can laugh about it now. He's like, in the moment, I was so fucking pissed. He's like, we're trying to get you over, you son of a bitch, and you're just gonna sleep. Fuck you. He was so mad.
I love Bubba. I love Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba.
I thought that was so funny. He's like, we're trying to get you over, you're gonna fall asleep. What the fuck?
If anybody out there, before we get into the actual tag team championship match here and wrap up these last few matches, if you want to know what a rivalry is, really look no further than Dreamer and Raven.
Yeah.
I mean, this promo covers their rivalry, but what struck a chord with me was really like how we were talking reality-based stuff. And like, you know, nothing is more like if you really think you can't stand somebody, but then you introduce a woman into it. And the thing that I think really, really heated up the rivalry, and they're kind of destined to go at it forever, is after Beulah announced she was pregnant. Okay. Oh, my God. And Beulah, for those who didn't know, was Raven's girlfriend. And then so when she says she's pregnant, like as soon as she says it, Raven turns to his, at the time, kind of his best friend, his follower, Big Stevie, well, not Big Stevie Cool, but Steven Richards. And he starts beating the crap out of like Stevie because he thinks it's Stevie's. And she's like, it's not Stevie's. it's, and then they're like, Raven's like, who is it? And she's like, it's Tommy's.
Oh,
That is how you write a storyline.
That we can put over the Raven Dreamer storyline. It's best to go back and watch it because it evolves over the years. It is almost like a cinematic universe where it keeps evolving and more characters get added to because it's not just Raven and Dreamer. Shane Douglas was involved in it. Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards were involved in it. Sandman was involved. God, Sandman was involved in it.
Yeah,
you know,
the whole roster pretty much.
Yeah, and
pretty
it's
much
one of the purest examples of storytelling in wrestling. I look. I don't care what views somebody has on wrestling. This is how to tell a long-term story in wrestling. It needs to affect the whole show if you want it to be good. It's a story you can base an entire show around, and it worked. People this rivalry is so good, and this promo was so good. Just Raven in general, Jesus, he was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that promo was amazing. We all agree on that. The next match, and it doesn't last very long because this is right before the main event. But we have Tommy Dreamer Joel Gertner comes out and introduces the Queen of Extreme, Francine, and introduces Tommy Dreamer.
Joel Gertner.
Yeah, it's funny what he said. Oh my God, I'm not going to repeat what he says, but that was that was wild.
God.
So they come out and Tommy Dreamer cuts this great promo. They're in Chicago, so he says he saw Sammy Sosa hit number 60 home run, and he says Sammy Sosa does what he does in baseball for the exact same reason I do what I do for ECW, and that's because you all pay my salary. And Tommy, he even flat out said, he kind of broke the fourth wall too. He's like, I'm not out here to cut an ultimate babyface promo. I'm going to tell you how it is, how I truly feel. And that is Tommy Dreamer amped up by that really is how he feels.
Well, yeah, but this is kind of off topic, but Tommy Dreamer, for all those people who complain he should have been the world champion, he didn't need it.
No, he lost every single match to Raven except for one. And then even after that, he put over just incredible.
That's just, look, that's the thing. It's like there's a few guys like that in wrestling. Dusty never needed the world title. Dreamer never needed the world title. You know what? I would even say a guy like Bray doesn't even need the world title nowadays. He just doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't. But just Dreamer cut a great promo, and he was the heart and soul of that promotion. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, because he was so. Think about how many guys break into the business, whether it be we've mentioned Backyard, Pro, whatever. How many are greedy and are like, I want this title, I want this accomplishment, I want to win the Rumble, whatever. Dreamer never once was. Dreamer was basically the right hand man, and a lot of the talent helped. Yeah, he helped Paul E, but he was selfless, and he was all about the ECW brand. He is the embodiment. Even in WWE, they did a good job of portraying him as ECW through and through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE ECW was a flop, but one of the positive things that came from it was showing off Tommy Dreamer. That's one of the little positives that comes off from it that time. Was Tommy Dreamer was finally portrayed as he was the heart and soul of this rabid fan base promotion.
Yeah.
No one can deny that. They can't take that away from him because he had rivalry of the promotion. He had, I would probably argue, one of the best matches in ECW history with Raven in that steel cage.
Yeah. Right.
He was the constant. I mean, a lot of them were MVPs, but he was always he was the heartbeat. He was the guy that kept the card rolling. He was the guy that was just always there. He was doing everything, and he's an unsung hero of hardcore wrestling, and he did a good job tonight on this show. I loved his promo, and The only thing I hated about the segment was that they dubbed over his real theme, which they have to. But Man in the Box, that's kind of what I think about Tommy.
And then, going along the lines of WWE real fast too, before we get into the next the match here, actually, they did a good job with his theme because they made it as close to it as they could. To the Man in the Box. Yeah, I've always liked that song and his theme. But we get to the match, and Tommy's in the ring, and he's going to take it on alone if he has to. Raven's nowhere inside. So out comes, they send Rhino to the ring. Carino and Joey Victory send Rhino to the ring. And it's Rhino and Dreamer for a minute. And they go at it for a while. Like I said, even this is where I got the opinion about Rhino, how he was first built up as just this monster. Right now, he's kind of being led around by Carino and some of those guys, but Carino doesn't get involved until a little bit later. We just see kind of, even though this is a tag team match for the tag team championships, and this is the one thing about ECW that people kind of say, well, they had all this star power and they had like the reality-based stuff, but the one thing in ECW besides a women's division, which they made up for that with all of their storylines and reality stuff, but they never really had, I wouldn't say, a great tag division either.
No.
No, I wouldn't say. So the fact that,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that, but they had some kick-ass tag teams. They just
did have
a proper division around
but the depth was not there. The depth was
correct.
not there.
That's what I meant. No. The depth, they didn't have like teams. Yeah.
I mean, okay. Besides the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Besides the BWO. Besides the Triple Threat. And people don't look to this tag team often. But the Eliminators.
Okay, yeah, the Eliminators were good.
And the Pitbulls.
Yep. And the Gangsters.
And the Gangsters.
The Gangsters. You guys, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Road Warrior Animal made an appearance in ECW, but God, what I wouldn't have given for the Road Warriors had Hawk not been going.
That would have been amazing. That
in
ECW.
I mean, they were in Chicago tonight.
That's right. They were in Chicago.
Yep.
Could have gotten that Road Warrior pop.
That would have been awesome. But in the match, they go back and forth, and Carino hops in there. They're kind of, on Dreamer struggling, and then Francine gets involved trying to help Dreamer, and Rhino hits her with a it was almost like a power slam, but it was a sit-out kind of power slam, almost like a Michinoku driver type move.
Oh, yeah, almost.
That was brutal looking, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And that's what, so Rhino's setting up to beat Dreamer. And this is my only kind of problem with the match. That's when the fans pop and out comes Raven. And Rhino is standing there waiting on Raven for a bit, though, because he's trying to finish the match. I love ECW, but and when Raven hit the ring, I don't know if you guys noticed, and I have the utmost respect for Raven. Like, I love Raven. But when he hit the ring, did you notice he slipped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I noticed that. I was like, oh, no. He was booking it.
Oh.
He had to be booking it down the ramp, and he didn't slow down enough in time or something and lost his footing. But still, he gets in the ring, even flow DDT. He helps him and Raven and Dreamer retain in about a
Thank you for calling it that. Thank you for calling it that. Everybody calls it the Raven effect. No, it's the fucking even flow DDT. You can't fucking
It's the even flow. Dude, like, at that time, ECW was the rogue outlaw wrestling promotion. They used themes without copyright permission. Yeah, and everything. And Raven did. When I think of Raven, I think of all the grunge bands, like kind of the embodiment of the '90s. A little bit.
Do you know what's kind of funny about that? Was that the grunge character came out to a punk song. He came out to keep him separated by the offspring. Yeah,
I know. It's pretty funny, isn't it? Yeah.
But still a good song. But yeah, just
overall, yeah. In terms of this match, and by the way, at the end, he still flips off Tommy Dreamer. He's like, "Yeah, I helped you this time." but
Yeah,
you're running.
fuck you.
You're running out of these get out of jail free cards per se. So,
oh my god, he's like, nah.
Yeah. I give this one a 7 out of 10. Honestly, I mean, 7 out of 10, really, for me.
Okay.
And it's mainly what dinged it for me was the slip and waiting for Raven to hit the ring.
Yeah.
And the quick finish.
The match
and the
was
short match.
the match was paced oddly. It was paced so weirdly, and I think once the crowd found out about like the substitution, it was kind of weird. And Carino wasn't in his best form yet,
I agree.
you know? But okay, I'm not going to be harsh to it. I'm just going to flat out say this.
Okay.
Why wasn't the three-way dance with Tanaka and Awesome and Taz the main event?
I agree.
Why? Okay, no. It's not just because the world title's in it, but that's the kind of match you would give time, you know? Because the main event that we got took forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the three-way went a long time, but like, okay, we'll get into that later. I give this probably, to me, it's the weakest match on the show.
Okay.
Because, I love all these guys involved. It's just this one felt kind of weird to me. I'm probably going to give it a 7. It was still fundamentally sound, but it just felt the weakest. It didn't feel like they wove this beautiful story, but it didn't quite live up to that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is sad.
I sort of agree. I don't think it was the worst match on the show.
Because there was Jazz and Marquez and also still Nova and Chetty.
Okay, I forgot about that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
By this point, after that amazing match for the world title, you kind of forget about, other than New Jack.
Oh yeah.
You kind of forget about everybody involved. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it was close, but I don't think it was the worst. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's kind of short. You know, there was a few botches in it, especially Raven trying to get in the ring. And I didn't think that the story with Carino and Rhino was very strong. I think it was stronger as a Raven versus Dreamer match, not a Dreamer and Raven match versus Carino and Rhino. Now if it was a match like a grudge match versus like those two, that would have been amazing.
Story.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that the story that they were telling really it didn't align with the Rhino Carino stuff as well as I think they did at the time.
Right.
Well, I think that, like as you said, that main event. Okay, the real main event, the three-way. That to me, that is the main event. But that's a show ender. When you put it third from the main, it's just weird. I mean, this was not a bad match.
No,
it just wasn't. It just wasn't the match it should have been or could have been.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of oddly placed because I would have swapped the order of these last 3 around after Credible and Sabu. I would have put this match on 6th. And then I would put the main event that we got. And then I would have put the triple threat. But one quick side note before we advance to the main event here. Harken back to what I said about the ECW tag division, you know, this, and they did say Anarchy Rulz, I know, but like, I thought it was going to be more Carino and Rhino, but they throw Rhino out of the ring and talking about the finish. I'm going to correct myself. I said just Raven hit the even flow. It was both of them hit a DDT. Raven hit the even flow on Carino, and I think Dreamer hit the DDT on Joey Victory, and it was both of them got the pin at the same time.
Yeah.
But you know, if Carino's the guy, if you're saying it's Carino and Rhino, then how can they get the pin on Carino and Joey Victory, you know?
Right, yeah.
That was my only kind of quirk with it, too, besides kind of the rushed finish and a few of the botches in there, even though that all that happened, it's still a Raven and Dreamer thing. So I feel like we're all kind of in the same ballpark with the 6 and the 7s. So now going to the main event, like we go back to Cyrus and Joey Styles, and they're talking about how Axel Rotten's in the ring and he's not a part of the program or not on the card. He comes out and cuts a promo, and he says, essentially, he might not be the best worker, the best wrestler, but ECW is the best professional wrestling company at the time, that he says, and he wants to make a mark on this show.
Still is.
He calls the what?
Still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he calls out Mike Awesome. He's like, I want a world title shot.
Yeah.
And then he gets interrupted by the Impact players, which, again, are Just Incredible, Lance Storm, and they got Don Marie with them.
Now, they have somebody else with them, too, which is...
Yeah.
So, this is probably the guy that nobody knew, but
yes.
To anybody that doesn't know him, I don't know much about him either. I've seen some of his matches, and he's not bad. He's actually pretty good. But his name is Johnny Smith. He's a British wrestler. And the advertised match was Johnny Smith and Rob Van Dam, which I got excited for. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
For the ECW World Television title.
Yes.
Which looked fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, it did.
Great looking belt. But I was like,
TV title.
I was like, okay, we have Johnny Smith, Japanese kind of import, cool looking guy, against Rob Van Dam, the guy who should have been holding this probably the most during that time. Yeah. But then that didn't happen.
Heyman, I'll say this real fast before we get into the match and kind of delving into what happens here and how the advertised match gets put by the side and we get a new match. Heyman valued the card from top to bottom. For all Heyman's faults, he really did value the best overall product that he could put together for the fans. Yeah. So I feel like RVD didn't take it as the ECW television title. I feel like he's the most synonymous with that thing.
He is.
So he didn't look at it as a demotion and I feel like he's in the main event here because at the time, and arguably even after that time, all the way up until I'd say about a decade after that or so, he was the best athlete in professional wrestling.
Oh my God, absolutely.
About RVD. Oh yeah, he looked like $1 million. He could do that thing where he could get between the chairs and lift the center block with both his legs stretched out.
The Van Dam lift, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, I want to say this. You brought up the TV belt, how it was most synonymous with Rob Van Dam. I will agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to throw a second name in there. Maybe not as synonymous as Rob Van Dam, but kind of still there. I would say Bam Bam too, somewhat.
Okay. Yeah.
But because Bam Bam was the one that dropped it to Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
Right.
And he had a pretty good reign with it. So
yeah.
Of course, nothing will beat Rob Van Dam's title reign with that belt. That's one of the best things I think in ECW they ever did.
Yeah. Right.
Side note, I want to get that replica of that belt really bad. I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
Find it.
Get back to the ring. What happens is they tell Axel Rotten to rescind his challenge to Awesome, or they're going to force him to rescind it.
Oh.
And then Rotten, I love it. I give Axel Rotten the roast of the night because he looks at the Impact players, all of them, and he says, "These fans know what I know. When you all come out, they're not cheering for your talent. They're cheering for the tits with you." Don Marie. And
valid point.
Yeah, and then so they start to beat, after that comment, the Impact players start to beat up Axel Rotten. Then out comes Axel's tag team partner, Balls Mahoney, with a chair, and Spike Dudley. And,
LSD.
Spike hits the acid drop, or as you all know it, the Dudley Dog.
It's the acid drop.
The acid drop. He hits it on Don Marie. And what Balls Mahoney does when he gets out there, like they all clear out the Impact players, but the guy scheduled for the main event against RVD gets a chair shot to the head.
Yes, he does.
From Balls Mahoney, which the commentators really build up and say, "Oh, that can concuss a man, knock you in the next week." Yeah, that's how they're selling this. So essentially, they say Axel Rotten gets back on the mic and he says, "Well, it looks like the guy, Johnny Smith, isn't going to be. He's been knocked in the next week. He's got one terrible headache. He's not going to be able to make it. So why don't RVD you get out here and fight Balls Mahoney?" And that's the main event we get for the TV title, RVD and Balls Mahoney. And I've really, to kind of put a bow on the show here in a second before we give our overall ratings for the show and rate the main event too. I'm going to let Jake take this one because he had some interesting thoughts. I was actually asking him about this, just this one match, which we don't really talk to each other about our ratings and stuff before we get on here and do this. But I said, what did you think about that main event?
Okay.
So I'm going to let him discuss what went down in the main event.
So the main event, on paper, and the commentators sold it well, Styles and Cyrus, Balls Mahoney was not a bad wrestler. It's just he wasn't by any means. He actually knew what the fuck he was doing in there.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're in there with Rob Van Dam, when you're in there with probably the most synonymous ECW star there ever was, you're going to get some attention. But here's my thing about the main event. It felt strange. It was a bit too slow at times. Mm-hmm. It would get to a really fast, high pitch, then would just grind to a slow kind of fever pitch.
I feel like that was Rob working with Balls to kind of, help him through the match.
Oh yeah, but like the one thing I marked out at, because I've never seen this, was when Van Dam did the plancha into the audience onto Balls.
Oh yeah,
that I was oh my god. And like as the match went on, it picked up more steam. But I did like the commentary. They kept putting over Balls Mahoney. Like, hey, don't write him off.
Right?
And that's something else too. We'll get to that after the match, of course, because commentary needs a spotlight. But I didn't mind the match. It just looked to me, it shouldn't have been the main event. It would have been a great bridge. In my opinion, it should have been Storm and Lynn, then the whatever like the New Jack death match, whatever segment, then the three-way dance, the first one, then this match, then the tag match, then the Mike Awesome coronation moment.
Yeah,
that's how the show should have gone. But I wasn't. I didn't dislike the match. I don't hate it at all. It was a good match. It's just why here?
Yeah.
Why in this spot when you could have had probably the biggest moment of that year?
And I feel like this is a little more predictable too, because at the time, when you have a guy, now I will mention one case real fast before I say what I'm about to say, is that genuinely shocked me was when you guys remember when Braun replaced Roman against Goldberg.
Yes.
Yeah. And won the Universal title. Like that's shocked.
Yeah. Me too.
That's the only time I've ever seen like a replacement go over. Like ever. Like one of the few. So to me, this was a little more predictable, even though it was a main event. I thought that Balls wasn't going to beat RVD unless, as the commentators alluded to, and I think it would take more than one shot on RVD, but if he hit him like almost like Austin Rock WrestleMania 17, like that amount of chair shots, maybe that could put RVD down.
Yeah.
I just, obviously RVD retains his TV title, and that's the end of the show. Jared, what did you think about it? I'm going to rate this, by the way. I'm gonna rate this because of RVD and because of the action we got before the match. Honestly, I'm gonna stay with it at an 8, like right around an 8. It was odd paced at times too, like Jake was saying.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because of the action we got before. And I kind of like the matchup of RVD versus Balls Mahoney because those are kind of, no offense to, Johnny Smith, but that's more of an ECW matchup when you see RVD and Balls Mahoney. So,
well, like Johnny Smith would have had no heat.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Unless you were a tape trader and you would see him in New Japan.
Yeah. True. And that's, I think, why that decision was made, or might have been part.
Which makes sense. I don't blame Paulie for that at all.
No. I love this match. Obviously, RVD is always fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, congratulations to RVD for making the WWE Hall of Fame. Good job, RVD.
That man deserves it.
One of a kind.
Oh my
god.
When Rob came out and he did the Rob Van Dam, I did it with him, and my grandma just kind of looked at me. She's like, "What?" But she doesn't know, he does that. And
I love how he would look at the camera and literally go by. Now you all say it with me at home.
Yeah,
Rob Van Dam. Yeah,
and I always love. So watching ECW is very different than watching WWE or WCW because they always swear in ECW. So like when they were someone was talking about RVD and he's like, "Well, I'm the new fucking show."
That was Jerry Lynn.
Jerry Lynn.
Yeah, it was.
It's fucking great. Because like I feel like the problem with WWE, especially now, is that they always try to come off as like not real people. Like, oh, like these guys are superheroes,
Fabricated. It feels fabricated. It doesn't feel as real as it should. Right. About their characters.
This would get into the whole, did Vince McMahon kill what wrestling was? That's a different thing. But I understand what they're going for modernly, like modern programming, but the problem is people watch NXT and AEW, MLW, AAA, they watch Ring of Honor, New Japan, All Japan, Noah, that they watch it all. They know what wrestling can be. They see what wrestling can be. You could have good hell, NWA still does it really, really good too.
Yeah.
But
the sidebar here is that I think once Triple H takes this hold, because he knows what he's doing, he can book a show top to bottom. You will see changes.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the next boom period in wrestling when Triple H takes the helm, and you get to see not sports entertainment but professional wrestling make a comeback to national television. That's what needs to come back.
But like, that's why I feel like especially back then, they would say like ass or bitch or whatever. But like, while regular people say that, I mean, God, we've been talking in here for almost over 2 hours.
Just about a 1999 ECW show and Extreme Championship Wrestling in a nutshell, kind of. Like, I mean, that's how good it was. We could sit here and talk about it and thoroughly have a good time.
Oh yeah,
it's the top to bottom perfect representation of what ECW was.
Right, I agree, but my overall point here is that ECW throughout their entire run until 2001, they talk like how we talk.
They're real people.
Right, we say fuck, they say fuck. We call each other, motherfuckers and bitches and shit. And that's what they do to each other. And they're friends. Like, whereas WWE, they'll say, like, bitch or ass or whatever, hell every once in a while. And it's like.
And then they act like
that's right. And it's like, that's how real people talk. Like, you want to be real with it. Be real with it. I understand it's TV, but come on.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna let like Game of Thrones on that has like nudity and like like decapitation, look, I'm just gonna say this: wrestling isn't dead. It won't probably ever die if it can survive the Great Depression and all that back in the 30s and shit. It can survive anything, but it lacks realism, not in like the cheesy, campy way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to give a shit about it.
Yeah. People don't care about. What was it? I think I heard this on the Dark Side of the Ring episode about the Montreal Screwjob. But Cornette said, kind of before the Montreal Screwjob, before the curtain kind of got pulled back a little bit, even if they didn't always know that the action that they were seeing was full on like shoots or however you want to put it, they always believed in their guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
like in your favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
And nowadays, name me somebody in just about any company that it's so easy to get behind
MJF.
and fully believe in.
Seth Rollins.
John Moxley.
Also true.
Okay, but other than that, there's few and far between. It's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Everybody is, like you guys are alluding to, in a lot of companies, just kind of fabricate.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
they don't come off as like their true selves.
There's like a list of them, but the 5 I think would be Mox, Rollins was on there
MJF.
too. And okay, Hangman.
He really is an asshole.
Hangman, I think is himself. I would say there's not many. Probably AJ
Styles, yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, but they're few and far between.
Very few and far between. But like once you get that lightning and you put it in a bottle, and you got somebody like Mox or
Rollins,
or Rollins, then you get that superstar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Right. So what would you guys rate the show overall? Honestly, this is one of my favorite shows we've reviewed. I watched it at first and was like, wow. And I got my basic notes down. I went back and watched it a second time, and I showed you guys my notepad. It was a full page because I loved it so much. And yes, I would watch again. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 overall. Now, it almost would be a 10 out of 10, but a couple of matches and a couple of the odd pace things, like in between a couple of the things, brought it down for me. But I'm going to really say this is like you're saying, Jake, kind of an epitome of an ECW show.
I'd say that besides this show, Barely Legal 97 is also the one to look back on as pure ECW.
Which was in the poll, just not enough people voted for it.
Yeah. But I think that this show is, of the TNN era, one of the better pay-per-views they produced. Probably top to bottom, besides, like you said, the pacing and the random segments of New Jack shooting people and Simon Diamond kind of whatever, and the various segments. I thoroughly enjoyed this because, I never got it in one complete watching session because I have I have work and I have been having meetings on the side, on and off.
It happens.
About 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I tried to have time, but I remember actually today on my break from work, I watched the 3-way dance with Crazy and
Tajiri. Yeah.
And that got me pumped for work, and I had a good day because of it. But I rate this show probably a good. It's either an 8.5 or a 9. And the only reason that it wouldn't be a 9 was because of the weird tag match, of the weird New Jack segment. Not the New Jack part, but like the Jazz and the Chris Chetty and
the cluster before all that.
Yeah. Where it shined like a shining star. It was that main event made not the real awesome being coronated. That to me is the main event. That main event, it is probably it is up there with the ECW main events. It is what people should look at as ECW and go watch this show, at least for that 3-way.
Yeah.
That's just, that's wow.
Yeah.
Just so I can catch Jake up to speed here. So when I rate shows overall, I do letter grades. Most people just do the rating. I like to be different.
For the whole show.
So for the whole show, by the way, I didn't tell you my rating for Rob Van Dam versus Balls Mahoney. 9 out of 10 for that one. So we're pretty close. Obviously Rob Van Dam always brings out.
Of course, he was the best part of that match.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, and I agree this as rewatchability. My grandmother said that she would rewatch this show. She didn't rewatch any wrestling show.
Wow.
She said she would rewatch that show. I'm gonna give it an A+, which is equal to 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I thought it was a great show. It had a couple low points, but God, some of the shows, fucking watching TNA Against All Odds 07. I wanted to die. I wanted to die without any
That was our normal show too. That's hilarious.
Half the show was gimmick matches. It's just like, stop with the gimmick matches. No one cares that much.
Give me a shell, yeah.
It was crazy. The main event, Sting versus Abyss. I understand that one. I get that one. But like they had like all these little insignificant pieces of shit gimmick matches. No one gave a fuck about it. All right, so before we get out of here, I want to make sure everyone knows. Go check out my interview with Jake. It's on the YouTube channel and it's on the podcast network. Go check that one out. That's actually probably the best interview. It's the best interview I've done so far. Even though I did like the one I did with Justin. But it's also done probably the best. I think it's done the best on the network as well. Yeah. Let me look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure. I have it right here. I'm pretty sure it's done the best so far.
I shot deep with that one, so I just
You did.
That was
so that one has 5 plays. Oh no, the Titan one has 7 plays. Yeah, the Titan one has 7 plays. So that one is done pretty well. The Logan Boggs interview I did. Mr. Logan Boggs from DSW and then TBW has 9 plays. So that one actually has done the best.
Wow.
I'm
pretty proud of what I did.
Yeah. I'm really glad. I'm really glad you guys actually let me interview you. To be quite honest.
Well, that was a weird time. It needed to be said. What was going on? But
true. But yeah, so that was it's pretty close. It's pretty close to being the best. So,
I was going to mention too. Be sure that give Jared all of his social medias. A follow, a like, whatever you got to do. Subscribe. Make sure you keep voting because we do put up polls on which we don't just say, oh, we're only going to review this. We give you 4 or 5 good options and you vote, and then we talk about it. We talk about what the fans want to hear. I'm sure you may want to see more of Jake. I know I'm very appreciative for Jake hopping on with us and talking about Anarchy Rulz and ECW in general. And let us know if there's certain segments or certain people, special guest hosts, and what you guys want to see in the future from Reviewing All Comers.
Oh, so I didn't realize when I made this date that it was WrestleMania. April 11th, officially, All-Star Wrestling Quiz returns to the Jerry
I am glad you guys have something going on because yours truly, along with Mr. Price, Mr. Reedy, Mrs. Reedy, and the parents are going down to Tampa, Florida, and I will be in attendance at WrestleMania 37.
Nice.
Really?
Nice.
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
I'm going. I've worked it out with work and had the money saved back, and I'm stoked. And me and Mikey have been joking. Well, not really joking lately, but I don't know. Like some of the matches on the card are kind of weird, but I mean overall, I'm stoked for everything. If I had to say, I'm really stoked for Rhea versus Asuka, and like Lashley, McIntyre, and the Universal Triple Threat too. But like me and Mikey have been saying, man, how about that Nigerian drum match and Apollo and Big E though?
Is that really the match? Are you serious?
I'm pretty sure, or something along the lines.
Why?
But how could you do the Intercontinental title like that? Like, I don't know. I'm not the biggest Big E guy, but Apollo Crews.
Okay, this is the first WrestleMania without Pat Patterson, the man who made the Intercontinental Championship the penultimate. And
Yeah,
in WWE. You know, this was just kind of weird.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. There probably keep your eyes out. There will probably be some kind of vlog. I will update you guys on that. I don't know if I'll be doing it, or maybe it could end up on the SVBW channel, or Logan or Mikey might do something. But we're gonna have a good time with this.
I want to officially invite Jake, if you do have nothing to do on Sunday before WrestleMania, come join the quiz, my friend.
I think I can. I'll be honest.
Yes, please do.
Okay. This is kind of showing, and we might try to film this. I was going to try to get the following people in a room together to watch WrestleMania with me. So, I was going to get Little Mike. I was going to get Fat Asian. I was going to get me and our mutual friend Cody in a room together to watch WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which, if you know that group of people, good God.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about it. I don't know. To be honest, I've been doing a lot of things lately. I've been trying to get things going down. That's for later. But so I don't know where I'm going to be. I would love to do the quiz though. I love quizzes, and I loved this.
Yeah,
I like doing this kind of thing.
I definitely want you to come back on the show, in the very least, as a guest host. And
I would not.
I don't know what Jared. I don't know what Jared thinks, but I mean, I'd even be fine with you being a permanent.
I wouldn't mind
third
that
perspective.
Either. Yeah. It's as long as Jake's down with it, I'm down with it.
I think I can do it
when you want to do it. Sure.
Well, there is one request. You know, if we're doing reviews of like pay-per-views and shows, then there's this one show, you know, could we try to do Starrcade 97?
If it wins a poll, we can.
Okay.
Sure. We can do a whole Starrcade poll. And like I told Jared that I'm wanting, because I'm a big ladder match fan, so I want a Money in the Bank review.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I want to like put this out there. Would it be possible to do like a wrestling history type of thing? Like we look at like one kind of like topic, like a general history topic, maybe. Would that be some like something cool? Maybe just like as like a one-off, you know?
Or certain like certain episodes or something. Like we normally review the shows. Thus the reviewing all comers name, but we could do like a special, like a side episode where we're just talking about, as long as you guys want and the fans are all right with it, of course, you know, who listen to us. Sure, I'm not opposed to it.
Well, because in doing research for all that I've been doing, I came across so many different like promotions in the 90s, like FMW in Japan, that maybe we could educate people on, maybe.
Maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of history that people don't know about. That's influenced me in my experience. So, maybe
Jake, what me and you are going to talk after the show, because I actually have an idea I think you'll like.
Ooh. Okay.
I do want to ask y'all something after the show, just like y'all's opinion.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But to kind of put a bow tie on all this, again, I'm Justin Phillips. This has been Reviewing All Comers, of course, with my co-host Jared Weathers, and we appreciate Jake Howe joining us for the review of ECW Anarchy Rulz 1999. Gentlemen, any socials or anything we want to throw out there before they go?
One thing I have. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right, and every show. So if you listen to the show before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. Brother, I love you, Mr. Jake Howell.
I love you too. You know. But, oh, God. Pritchard's a mess. But I love him.
I know, but Brother Love loves you no matter what.
God. I gotta watch Brother Love now. Shit.
I'm told I do that very well. So
You do actually.
He does, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. But love,
Brother Love,
now
Brother Mercer, Brother Howell.
when Brother Love came back on Raw 25 and he saw Kurt Angle and he's like, "Brother Olympic boy." That pops me to this day. I'll just be walking down in work and I'm like, brother Olympic boy. I'm like, yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I think that's, yeah. But there is something I want to discuss. It's pretty